said you previously denied.
So wait a minute, wait a minute. Before you say anything, we got bets going on tonight. I can say at 8:30. What time do you say?
She got a 5 o'clock drive.
8:45.
Come on, Clark.
We should sit out with this gentleman. Good evening.
I like.
Y'all ready to jack me today? I'm good. 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 I feel loved. I feel neglected any other way. But we should be out of here. This is short agenda. Some of the participants, some of the presenters might not be here. I think we might. Yeah. So I think I tell you, I wanted to, and I'm going to miss. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk, at 7:02 p.m.
Trustee Lewis. Present. Trustee McFadden. Present. Trustee Fulcher.
Present.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Thompson.
Present.
Trustee Brooks. Mayor Rudin.
I am here, Madam Clerk. Let us please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Also, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right. So, young man, any general public comments regarding this agenda items? Thank you, gentleman, a scholar, young man. All right. All right, Ms. Covington.
This is also agenda item.
Yes.
You should make that, I would make that straight.
So, Ms. Covington, you're doing a little something different. So, if your questions now, are these related to the items on the agenda?
Walk through the door.
I said, are your questions related to anything on the agenda?
Oh,
All right, so we do public section down the line. It's not public section right now. It's only for agenda items. So I'll call you back up shortly.
okay.
Thank you very much. All right. Item 5-1A. Oh, wait a minute. Miss Millie. Agenda items, questions, or other questions?
My questions and statements pertain to this bill. I
Oh,
don't know, I'm just getting the agenda. I don't know what is on it.
okay.
Talk about what I came here for.
All right, very good. Mrs. Trust, do you have questions regarding any items on the agenda?
It's been on the website.
Well, it's been on the website. That's only my question. I'm just... All right. Mrs. Stroud, do you have any questions regarding any items? All right, thank you very much. Sonia Jenkins. All right. And Sada Boyd. Do you have any questions regarding any items on this agenda? Okay, so we'll come back to general public comments. All right, we'll move on. Item 5-1A is a discussion, which is an ordinance amending section 80608A of Title II of the codified ordinance of the Village of University Park pertaining to the license fees and licensing period for retail liquor dealers in the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois. Are there any questions regarding those items? I mean, this thing? Yes. Good evening, Mr. Brooks. How are you, sir?
How you doing,
See
sir?
you campaigning ready this evening. You're looking well. Good to see you, sir.
It's that season, ain't it?
Oh, man, it's every season. It's the season. Go ahead, trustee.
Okay, so I looked at, liquor license fees for Park Forest, Richmond Park, Creek, and, what we have is not comparable, it's like way, like double.
Could you turn your mic back on?
I said, I looked at the, license fees for Richmond Park, Park Forest, and Crete. And what we have on here proposed is not comparable, it's like double. And also, in, I think it was Moni, on top of the sales tax.
No, sometimes we have all of them turned on, it gives that feedback. I just cut mine off, so maybe it's good. Madam, go ahead, try to say something.
maybe we might need further discussion on how we can encourage businesses to come in and, you know, do business with us, and so they won't go like a mile or two away and pay less, and it would be more beneficial to us. If our rates were comparable, if our license fees were comparable to the other communities surrounding us. I know.
I'll show the courtesy, Mrs. Morgan, but please don't yell out. Let's conduct the business. I'm through with it. Okay. My mic was, so
Theirs were annual too.
those were annual too?
Yes.
Okay, because this is something that we discussed previously. I think ours hadn't been changed and,
Right, and we all agreed to that, but did we agree on a dollar amount? Can we discuss it again?
if you want to discuss it, that's fine, because that's what we're here for, but I thought we all agreed that it would definitely be an increase. And what we wanted to do is, instead of doing the liquor licenses every 6 months, we're going to do them annually, once a year.
So, the other communities that are within a few miles of us,
The Cook County communities?
and Will County,
Okay.
Creek, I looked at Monique too, but I couldn't see their exact rate, but I could see how much taxes they were getting. Creek, Park Forest, and Richland Park. So part of Park Forest and part of Richland Park is Cook County, but Creek and Monique are Will County.
So I'm just trying to understand your point, because I'm not understanding.
I'm saying, why can't we be more competitive with the other communities' license fees?
Well, I tell you one thing, I rest
I
assured.
would like to hear from some of the other
Okay,
trustees.
all right, I'm going to comment, and then anybody else who want to chime in, chimes on in.
All right, thank you.
I'll tell you one thing, when you're the leader and you set the trend, I rest assured you that other communities will join forward and move forward too. And did you also look and see how long those license fees have been standing that way? Have you seen when the last time that there was an increase? Do you see if they do it annually? You know, we
It's
benefit,
annual.
we benefit good, and this is kind of low. So as the liquor commission, this
And
was
they
my
did have dates
suggestion.
on them.
So let's move on. I mean, go ahead, let's hear from other board members.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is it possible that we can, along with the license, that as far as revenue, I think it was Monique, that we can collect a percentage off that liquor, the tax, or taxes for the liquor, like we get a portion to bring in more revenue
On top of the sales tax.
on top of this, yeah, on top of it.
I know y'all talking about taxes, huh?
No, I mean, you know, if
Let me understand, Theo, because I'm kind of, you said, so, in other words, you want to add an additional tax after the alcohol tax is applied to it, the county tax and all the other state taxes.
well, let's say if the fee, you know, we have a fee, for instance, I think in one research it was Monique. Their fee may be low, but you pay a percentage of that tax for the liquor.
It was 1%.
1%? Yeah, 1%. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we do that with the gas?
We eased it up a penny or something like that.
Right. So, I mean, just something like that. That was just an idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really, really like the idea, that's why I put it on here, that we just double up our fees, don't make it complicated. Ensure that everybody has proper notice that it's going to effect January of 25, and they'll settle when they get adapted to it. And we set the doggone standard, because if they don't want to comply with it, we make it too low, you get anybody. So we're setting a higher standard, and I'm comfortable with that. And I'll take all the forth, but I want the city council to chime in too, because these conversations and these questions never came up when it was on the agenda. The only reason it's back on the agenda, because there were some items that had some typos on there, because we didn't do our due diligence and no one caught it then, and didn't double up the fees, and there are some other little items that were on there. Well, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Just for clarity, the ordinance that's attached in your packet is not the ordinance that is being discussed tonight. This is the ordinance that was passed a few months ago. Let me look at it.
Yeah, it was passed,
On June 25th. And it does have the fees now for means that the half-year fees have been doubled. Is what's
We
in
have a
this
typo
ordinance.
then, since we have a typo, as the mayor said then, I guess that's not a legitimate ordinance, then it can be up for more discussion, correct?
I'm not sure I understand. What's
I'm
not?
saying, since you're saying, since it's back on the agenda, I'm talking to you.
Okay, I'm gonna interject.
Wait, let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
So, since it's back on the agenda, then that means the original, I don't remember that dollar amount. But so does that mean that the original ordinance is invalid?
No, no. What it is that in this ordinance that was passed in June, nowhere in this ordinance did it say these fees are annual. So that's actually what we don't have the resolution for tonight, but that's actually what the resolution will be saying once it goes before the board for passage, is that these fees are already doubled. So you're not looking to double the fees that's in here. What's on the table tonight is to address and insert that these are annual fees as opposed to semi-annual, and the fees have already been doubled. But what you gotta put in is the term for these licenses and these fees and the effective date.
I have a question, not question, but, so when it was originally presented a couple months ago, we were talking about, of course, one thing was to do it annually, and there was one other thing that we wanted to address, only one of the other items, not the entire list. I know we did talk about we wanted to change and maybe see what the other communities was doing. We did talk about that. We never got any type of information back to say this is what the surrounding communities are doing. So now it sounds like Trustee Thompson looked at the other communities and seeing that, and I looked at it myself as well, that we're not comparable to all as with the surrounding communities here. So our pricing is kind of like all over the board. Not to say we have to be exactly the same, but we should be comparable to how the other surrounding communities are doing, because that's how people come in. When I was looking at it as well, the same thing that Trustee Thompson was saying is that Monique had imposed a 1% additional revenue stream. So that's not just a tax, it's an additional revenue stream that we will be receiving for any liquor sales that happen in our community, which is something that Monique does. And that's something where they use those funds to allocate to help in other parts within the community. So I think that's a good thing to look at. And then also, I looked at the Park Forest. I looked at Park Forest liquor fees, and they have a initial one-time non-refundable fee. They have a one-time non-refundable fee for any business that comes in as their first time, and then they have a yearly renewal amount. So that might be something we might be interested in looking at it as well. Since it's being presented on the agenda again, it gives us an opportunity to look at it again. So even though we talked about things annually, it's the same thing. So I would like to look at that and also look and see if that's something we want to do, is to have an initial price. So any business come in, the first time they're here, they have initial non-refundable amount, and then their yearly amount is going to be something different. So I looked at the other ones as well, and I think we should kind of like talk amongst one another more to see these are some examples.
All right, Trustee, fine. I think you guys are missing.
Don't be so down.
All right, listen. I'm not down, but listen. I think you guys are truly, truly missing the point. The only thing that's on here is to ensure that it's an annual fee. Everything else is passed already.
But it's back on the agenda.
The only thing that we're trying to do is ensure that the people know that it's an annual fee and not an every 6 months fee. Everything else, the figures, the dollars amount, has passed already. It's already a law and an ordinance already. The only thing was missing is the language did not say annual. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that this is on the agenda for.
That's not what the agenda says. And then this is our board, and these are our ordinances, right? Can't we change them if we think of a better way? And can it be just, a group decision and not just one person?
And on the agenda, it says discussion, an ordinance amending section 80806A of the Title II of the Codified Ordinance of the Village of University Park pertaining to the license fees and licensing period. So it's both that's on the agenda.
That's where the typo was. That's what I, that's
It's still here.
okay, but, okay.
I'm just saying,
Listen.
it says the licensing fees and licensing period for retail liquor dealers in the Village of University Park. So it's addressing a discussion for both things, the fees and the period. And that's what we're talking about.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
To make it known that the fees in this ordinance that was passed in June have already been doubled from what they normally are. That's why it's on. And to, like he said, to put in the words term, 1 year, as opposed to 6 months, semi-annual, because since the beginning of this village, they've always done semi-annual licensing.
Yeah, we talked about that. We also talked about at that meeting, I do remember, that we wanted to look at other communities.
Okay.
And we didn't do that.
Okay.
But the time to do it was back in June.
And it was addressed, and at the time that was done, it
All right,
was
that's fine.
addressed, and we didn't get
Y'all
it.
mess it up for the people if you want to. Y'all mess it
It's
up.
not
in
messing
discussion.
it up for the people.
Because these are actions that should have been taken back in June before the laws were passed. The only thing that we're doing is being transparent and just changing it from every 6 months to annual. It's a simple language change. Take out one, add the other, keep it moving, get the village's revenue going, and move on to the next one. It's simple. Don't make it complicated. We're not trying to get these things done so you can go around to the liquor store owners and start talking about, well, we fighting for y'all for lower rates and licenses like that. Stop the nonsense, stop the politicking, and let's handle the business of the people. That's exactly what it is.
It's not politicking.
Well, listen.
And then the race that I was stating, because I'm not running for anything.
Listen. If it
okay?
don't apply, let it fly.
So when you're presenting something that we have not addressed, and if we decide to address it again because you put it on the agenda because of what it was a typo, it's not my fault. It was a typo. It's on the agenda and we're discussing it.
It's a language. It's a wording.
I understand the wording,
Okay.
you all.
All right,
But
so-
it's still here. And it's still an opportunity
For
to
the
talk
business
about the
people on the
price.
board, what do you want to do with this? We don't need to have back and forth debates. Go ahead, Trustee.
Can
Williams.
the attorney speak to this since
don't even know who
it was previously on the agenda and was voted on? Is this something that we can or cannot?
So as the language states, in the heading of the ordinance itself as well as in the summary, it has to do with licenses, even when it says licenses
Yeah.
period. What that means, you can discuss the fee, the amount, the term, anything related to the license, and that is different from taxes. You can bring the issue of taxes later and do an ordinance or a resolution, depending on which one is needed, and pass it. That would be for another time. For today, the only thing can be discussed is the licensing. And so, and within that, I mean, it's really the will of the board. I mean, this is being proposed, and normally discussion ensues. You reach a consensus, and then the next meeting, you just vote on it. But the only thing that can be taken up in this meeting is licenses and everything that has to do with licenses. The fact that it was brought up, whether it's for a typo, for skipping that it's annual or whatever, the fact that it's brought up and it's going to be passed, anything within that ordinance can be discussed. And obviously, the amounts are being discussed, so you are free to discuss it. But then the decision has to pertain only to the license amount.
That's it. To the annual fee. That's it.
And that's what we're talking
Put
about.
a tax thing in
your term.
That's my point was that our rates and our license fees are not comparable with the 2-mile away communities, which might encourage businesses to move out where they can pay less a year. That's my point.
Okay. All right, so is it the consensus of the board to just change the language from semi to annual? Is that what it is?
No,
That's a,
no.
wait a minute, no.
No, it's not just add percentage, it's just basically talk about the fees amount. I'm just saying, a lot of our fees amount is almost double of what is being asked for in our surrounding communities. That's what I'm saying. So for instance, $1,700 is double of what our surrounding communities are paying. So I don't think that that is comparable. I'm just saying, and that's just for one of the class, that's just for one of the class levels. But I'm saying for that same class level, it's 50% less. So I think that we should be more comparable, just like the rest of the surrounding communities, to be fair when we're charging the liquor license fees. That's what I'm saying. So it's not saying that we're gonna not get it. It's saying that maybe some of this stuff should be lower or some of the stuff should be higher, or are we gonna have a more of a set amount? That's what I'm stating.
okay, so my question again to the board, are we going to change the language to annual or not? What is the consensus?
I have a question. Is this gonna affect the cost of the actual liquor
No.
that's being sold?
No.
So when people purchase liquor here, they're not paying 50% more?
I'm not
I just want
Right, I'm not talking about any of the pricing. This is just the license.
No, and I just wanted clarity.
This
I
is just their
wanted-
license.
And
So
that's wonderful. I
they
just
pay-
wanted clarity.
Business owners are
instead of
not gonna-
paying,
They're gonna
they-
pass it on to the consumer.
I just wanted to know that because I wasn't sure.
No.
So that's what I wanted
So
clarity
you guys
on.
want to lower the thing on alcohol. If the people want to be responsible and own liquor stores, I think they should be extremely responsible. And if they don't want to pay the higher price, then so bad, because our community isn't ravaged with crime like the other communities y'all comparing us to, and maybe that's the reason why. And I'm just saying, so does
that's
the
the reason
board-
why theirs is lower?
Trustee, give me a minute. Does the board want to move forward and to change the language, or do you want to sit here with the, going back and forth? Let's handle the business.
Could,
I want to have a conversation, and that's what this is, a discussion. But you're trying to limit it to only whether it's annual or what.
I'm trying to teach you as I know and
You don't
trying
have
to
to
teach
teach
you. Okay, well, see, I was able to listen and learn. I paid
I've
my dues to
listened.
learn. So I spent 18 years learning, and I would never tell anybody that has the experience that I don't want to learn from them.
I didn't say that.
So, but what I'm telling you, it's only about the language, Donna. This is, the conversation is, trustee, is only about the language. This is the only thing that we're discussing now. Do we want to amend the language? It's yes or no.
And just like the attorney just said, anything that has something to do with licensing, which is the fees or the terms, can be discussed.
But we discussed it.
And we did not.
Okay, so what?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
can we,
Yeah, I guess the question that I would have is that, when it was placed on the agenda, I can't quite remember exactly what was said at the meeting, because it is in the ordinance that we passed it on the
Yeah, June.
we passed it June 25th, and I can't remember, what was exactly, but did we already say that this was what we were gonna do, just so, you know, because I think it's a communication somewhere, a gap where, I mean, this is just me trying to say that apparently, you know, trustees are feeling that on top of it, that, you know, if we're gonna do this, that maybe we need to have a further discussion as far as, is it every 6 months? Well, I can tell you now, I'm looking at one town, and I guess it is an annual. Ours is like a couple $100 off on one, couple $100 off on off, not much. But I just think that if we're going to have that discussion that this is an annual fee, you know, I do agree that, you know, let's kind of get this out the way and move forward. This is Creek.
Because when they come to Will County, already the alcohol is cheap in Cook County already.
It's already, Will,
This is only to the business owners, not the consumers. This is only a business thing. It's for business people, not the consumers. Yeah.
oh,
I know. This was passed back in June. Here it is, July, August. It's not back on.
It is, it's right here. It says fees.
Just to change the language, trustee, you're taking it and twisting it to something more than what it is.
This man went to law school.
I'm not.
He said we can discuss anything.
It
that's on here.
doesn't matter, but I'm telling you now, this is only about the agenda. It was titled that way because of the law that was passed. Ask them. We passed it up. We passed the law already. It passed unanimously.
We're not going against it changing to annual. We already agreed to the annual. We just want the price, not to say increase, but just to be more comfortable. I don't know, some stuff might be lowered, some stuff might be increased. That is all that we're saying. We had already agreed to make it annual. That's not what we're debating. We're saying about the actual amounts. And that's something that was stated even when back in the time I asked, was these comparable to the other communities? And let's look at the other communities, and we never did that.
Is it because those other villages have more liquor stores and more gas stations? Does that have anything to do with the pricing, or why they may not be charging more because they have more liquor stores and things? I think
Well,
or
that
at
would
the
be,
gas station, and I'm not against it. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
I don't know. Maybe that's
Okay,
something
so
that
I was just-
the
I
liquor
know-
commissioner can give us that information. The liquor commissioner can give us this information and kind of give us and say, this is what everybody is, this is the surrounding area. Let us see some information. You're the liquor commissioner, Mayor Rudez. So if you try to give us that information or to say, hey, they're doing this because they have this, this, and this, and this.
Right.
Then that's information that we would have, but we do not have that information. That's what I'm stating.
Well, you should have said that before you passed the law.
I could say it right now because it's on the agenda,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, you can say it on the agenda. Again, you making an item controversial. You know,
I'm not making it. Why is this, you the one making it so hard? We already said we're fine with the annual.
Okay,
We
so
agreed to that, right? But we're talking about the amounts, to relook at the amounts.
Okay, so.
That's what is being stated.
I didn't hear you. Trustee, you said you're good with the annual.
We had already talked about that, but on this agenda, we're talking about both because it's on the agenda. I don't understand why you're not getting it. The attorney already stated we can address whatever is on that has something to do with the liquor license. And that's what we are doing. So it doesn't matter if it was a pass, you put it back on the agenda to talk about it. And that's what we are doing.
So are we going to annual or not?
We're not moving forward on, obviously, we're not moving forward on anything because you don't want to continue to discuss.
yeah, Mayor, I'm trying to jug back on what we said in June. The prices really don't start till the first of the year. Wasn't that what you told me? That's what I
Right.
thought. Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Go ahead.
Notices will go out to the liquor retail businesses. The renewal letters go out in November. I think that's,
I agree. I agree they should have notice.
So are we good with it going to annual? That's all I'm asking. Are we good with it going to annual?
We're not good because we didn't have to continue the conversation about the fees.
So here's what I want to make clear. Right now, the law of the land in the village of University Park are those fees. They're already the law of the land. That's what the village said we will collect. If, as I heard, currently it's every 6 months, and you don't pass this term change, that means every 6 months, those dealers are going to be charged this amount. So really, I mean, to your
No.
argument, I'm telling you, if it does, if the term currently is 6 months, and this was passed in June to say here are the amounts, that means every 6 months you need to charge this to the license holders. So if you don't change it to annual, you are literally doubling even the doubled amount.
No, the
And
clerk just stated that they already changed the amounts to annual, right, clerk?
I think,
But you see,
These amounts were already changed to annual, right?
right.
That's what I'm saying. These
But
were
you
already
see-
changed.
but because the ordinance failed to say annual, it has to be inserted. And if you don't insert it, the language now will say every 6 months you must charge 1,200 for the general and 1,700 for the extended hours.
It would go back to the old
Not at all.
because-
Not at all, because this ordinance got passed. This ordinance, this is the law of the land today. These amounts are the law of the land. Really, by passing the amendment that says annual, you are actually making sure that they are not being like quadruple charged, literally. And my other point, and really this is up to you elected officials, but if it was, let's say, $600 for the general for 6 months, and now it's $1,200 for a year, you didn't raise anything. I mean, you just moved it from 6 months to a year and doubled the amount, so it stayed the same. The total collection to this village is going to be the same amount you collected last year and the year before. And if you don't do that, literally, these people are going to be charged double this amount, which is already double the previous amount. So, and it's up to you at the end. You are the elected officials. You discuss it, you agree, and you make your vote.
Okay, but what's the pleasure of the board? Annual, okay.
So it's put on the agenda.
Is to insert a paragraph that states this is annual.
So, as what's on the agenda is a paragraph that states that this is an annual fee, and that's it. That's the only thing that we're asking, needs to be amended to state that this is an annual fee. That's what the whole thing is.
Excuse me, Mayor, the residents can read. It says, two of the codified ordinances of the Village of University Park pertaining to the license fees and licensing period for retail liquor dealers in the Village of University Parkville and Cook County.
Okay. Brooks, Williams, what you saying? You good?
Right, it was,
Yeah, I heard you.
right, it is, I'm just trying to make sure, because, we voted unanimously, and I'm just trying to remember that day, was there anything else that we're gonna add? But I do know that I'm just looking for the, language to make sure it said annual here, and was it in the 21 on the 25th?
That's why we're doing it.
It wasn't on the one on the 25th.
That's the only reason we're here now, to insert the word annual.
We discussed the fees on the 25th.
Yep, that's,
Mayor, I can ask a question.
That's okay.
I can have a discussion.
That's fine and dandy.
I'm not working for you. I'm working for these people.
You and me both. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm cool.
Let me-
Trustee, I'm good. Go ahead, Trustee Williams. You have something to say?
So I said,
Let her
discussed
talk.
the fees in June.
Yes.
We discussed these fees that we have on this list right now.
Yeah, you guys voted for it, so that means it was discussed. It was June 24th.
Voted. I don't know. Let, we, okay, I just I know how important, when it comes to language and wording, is very important, because when we did contracts, we had to sit and read every single page of that contract to make sure the wording lined up. Because if we have one word out of order, management will come at us. So it's important that when we do these things, we have to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Because we wouldn't be sitting here now for 20, 25 minutes, I don't know how long, because of a error, a mistake. We have the sheet here. All the trustees voted unanimously to this back in June. Now we're hearing different tonight as far as the percentage or what other communities, I don't know. We didn't do that research back in June when the conversation should have been done. Instead, we did vote yes. So that's why I'm asking the attorney, since it's cut and dry, do we stick with that? Are we doing something different? Can we do something different? What's the verdict?
Well, I would like to, I haven't seen the minutes for the June 25th. I don't see it on the website, because I definitely would love to see the comments, because I know I've asked questions about it and was looking for information. So I was looking on the website. I don't see the minutes. I don't know if it was approved or what. So to me, until I can see the minutes, then
Can we
I still
table
say-
this till then? Or what?
It's just the timing matter, because we want to get them notices out, that's all. That's all we're saying.
November is when we get the notices out. Today is October the what, 8th or so?
The next meeting is an action meeting. So I'm just asking, do I have a majority that says, just make the language change and move forward? Public section is at the end. I'm not answering the people.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I know, just going over this statute, maybe there might, well, at least with me, I'm just making sure. I see that with section 1 clearly says that the license fees is amended by striking the current language and replacing with the following, and we see where it has the license fees, and then section 2 is conflicting provisions, and then section 3. I mean, as we go down, I don't, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if Felicia Frazier did it. Normally, we see the language struck with the line through it and then the new language, and maybe that could be the confusion. I'm just saying, based upon my experience, what I normally see, is that something that maybe we need to do to put in the word annual? I mean, that's what we normally, you know what I mean, talking about attorney, yeah.
Totally.
Right.
I mean, I added it, all you need is one word right there, that's it.
Right, and yeah, and from my experience, that I would say, if I was a trustee that did not know and didn't see this on a regular basis, I would think that this is a whole new discussion of the license itself, if nothing was explained to me. So maybe that's what may need to be done, is that the original language struck, and then like we normally do with every other language, because like when I got up to speak to Madam Clerk, she made it clear that the language is supposed to have the annuous. It's about having annual in there. But
Strike nothing. Just
Add that one word.
just add one word. Strike nothing. Add annual.
right, but it said amended. It said section 1 does say amended by striking the current language and replacing it with the follow, and then you got section 2 and 3, I guess. I'm not sure. It has well, to me it says licensing fee.
And that's what I was talking about, the title, because it was titled that way because of the way it was presented at the June agenda. That's why it's titled that way.
Okay. The The license fee provided herein shall be for the whole or any portion of the license period for which the application is made, but it doesn't have the term. Yeah, it doesn't have the term.
And that's all we need to add.
And if I can explain, I see your point, sir.
Yeah.
In that here it talks about striking. Because those numbers were different back then in June, all of the old numbers were stricken out and the new numbers put in. And that's where the word striking comes in. But
Okay.
because you're coming back only for adding a word, again, I mean, usually you just have a catch-all language. You say striking and adding, but you may have zero striking, and in this case, you have zero striking. But
Right.
in June, you did have a lot of striking when you amended.
Right.
And you voted on that. So,
Right.
so we're coming back really to add a single word in that, I mean, anyone who has the ordinance in their hand, under section 1, where it says, section 808-06A license fees is amended by striking the current language and replacing it with the following. License fees, it should have said the annual fee for a village retail, and it didn't say the annual. I would add something more to you, honestly, so we can save in my mind, the unnecessary discussion in this sense, that even if if no action, if you guys couldn't agree and no action is taken, first of all, those numbers stand because they are the current law. Second, I would argue as an attorney, it is implicit in there that those are annual. When I read the rest of the language, it is implicit that they're annual. You're going to be charging them once a year anyway. And so even if it doesn't mention that annual, and I don't see anybody daring to charge them 2, 3, 4 times. So implicitly, it's already annual. We're just being consistent with ourselves, with what we passed, with what is the fact today. And we're just adding the word to make it all together and not leave any room for misinterpretation. That's all.
So, Mr. Attorney.
Yes.
So what about this one?
Fee provided herein shall be for the whole or portion.
The whole or any, it says the license fee provided herein shall be for the whole or any portion of the license period for which the application is made.
Sure.
So that's your point about adding annual. No problem.
Annual right here, I mean,
But the
that would
agenda
allow
still
it.
said fees,
Right.
which to me allows me to discuss.
No, the way it's written here on the agenda, it did say the fee, and because it said that,
Just because the way it was written. right?
yeah.
So is everybody good with adding the word annual?
Yes.
All right. Lewis? Fortune?
No, I'm saying I still wanted to discuss the pricing. I didn't change that.
Can't that be done at another date? Can we just get annual in here today?
But that goes into now they send out the letters to November. That's why I say we can actually have a discussion and say, okay, maybe we might want to change.
It would be stupid to reduce the fees, because everybody else gonna raise theirs around us.
It's all about the annual is fine, but it's back on here. And as we're looking at it, and like I said, I know I remember asking questions about this item, even though it's passed, and we did talk about the annual. When you look at the packet that was presented on June 25th, this is the same information. These are the same numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the same numbers. This is the same stuff. So nothing changed from June 25th. These are the same, this is the same information. I know we discussed that, but that's what I said. I can't go back to the minutes to see exactly what the discussion was all about because there's nothing on the website for me to. Saying, for me, I need to go back and watch the video. There's no video and there's no minutes. So until I can go back and see my discussion for this, then
Okay. Trustee Thompson?
Oh, that would be enough.
Brooks?
Yeah, I want to get back to the video. I want Trustee Fulch on that one. I don't remember what we talked about.
Williams?
to table it for further discussion after we watch it.
This is for discussion only, and the only thing is, are we going to move this forward? This isn't the time where we take an action to table or anything. It's either we're gonna move it forward to the next agenda or not. Yes, sir.
I mean, can you reach out to the trustees and see once they see the video? I'm not gonna lie, I remember us going and talking about it, but my brain is just not, I can't remember. I was back in June, right? Yeah, I was back in June. I remember we spoke about the fees, but again, so for someone who understands the law, the attorney is correct. You cannot, if you send this out, we have to make sure that we pass it, because 6 months from now, they can get charged $1,700 again, because it's law. This is not a departmental rule. It's law. So we want to make sure that this is correct. So I just want to make sure that was this what we were supposed to do? I can't remember what we discussed on June 25th.
I can say that I know we did discuss that we said we was gonna do annual. I'm not,
Oh.
I never discredit the annual. I just said that now we have opportunity to look at the fees again. That is my statement. I want it to be comparable. Don't just say lawyer. We are
So,
leaders.
Mayor, so you just said we're leaders. We're the
We are
legislators,
leaders, and
right?
that's exactly what I'm
So we
doing.
make our own ordinances, correct? We make our ordinances. So if it's something, okay, we get another one. So, so what I'm trying to say is, since we make the ordinances, we vote on the ordinances, then if something is wrong, we can't ever change it? Is that what you're saying? You can always change it.
All right, let's go, guys. All right. So are we going to adopt the language or no? Are we going to bring it forward or no? That way you can have open discussion and every doggone thing and make amendments to everything when you bring it forward. And actually, then you can make amendments. But I don't understand why you would want to reduce the fees. Make alcohol more accessible and cheaper. Because of somebody else doing it? Didn't that? So one more time, because I want to move to the next item, because we're already going to strike item 51C and 51F off. None of the presenters out here, so we can make your time a little bit better. I know you guys like that. The last two, no presenters are here. Yeah, yes, ma'am. They're not here. They're not here, so we ain't got time to hold no space. Keep it moving. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next item agenda. But we need clarity. Are we moving forward so we can move to the next agenda, and then you can do the dissecting this. This isn't the idea, this is the time to do the dissecting. If you move it to the action item agenda, then you can make a motion, you can make a second, then you can make amendments, take it whatever. But this is the time, and we can't do anything that moves forward. And why would we
Well,
reduce our things with everything going up around us? Make the payment for that shit, let them be responsible leaders for all this.
okay, so if we move it, yeah, we can do it like that. That's fine. I agree with that. That'll work. That'll work.
All right, thank you.
The annual is fine,
I'm
but it's
sorry,
the
I
fees that
apologize.
I would like to discuss.
I'm
That's
sorry.
all. It's just the fees I would like to discuss. I don't know if you can separate an agenda item.
No, I think they were saying that we can, at the next meeting, once it come back up, we
And we
can
can
make the
amendments
changes.
there. Let's
We
just
can
move it
recommend
forward.
whatever there.
Jeez, have mercy.
Are we good, guys? Move forward to the agenda to take action. All right. Yes, Madam Clerk. So,
Mayor, we have a right to.
I
our
never heard
own-
a
we have
council want to
no, wait.
respond back.
That you,
Right.
yeah.
Did we said to make it more comparable, okay? Okay, we're going to the.
all right. Item 5-1B, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement for medical, dental, and vision insurance benefits between the Village of University Park and Vista. Hey, let's have some order here like we conducted a business meeting. There's a conversation, a business meeting going on, not the neighborhood chat. How about stop yelling out before you get put out?
You can yell out. Oh, you can when nobody else can.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. What you have before you is two documents that was just passed out. The very first one is the financial letter. I'm sorry, Bridget Stewart, Vista National. Apologies. So if you could refer to the financial letter, that would be great. And basically what the letter is going to give you is an overview of what the village is currently paying out of pocket for your medical, dental, and your vision insurance coverage. So the purpose of the letter is to provide a financial summary of the insurance renewals and our employee benefits renewal recommendations for the village. So if you take a look at the medical, your medical program with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, what your current overall spend, what you're paying today specifically to the medical, is $1,500,000, obviously, and some change, right? 2024, when we received the insurance renewal from Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they were initially proposing a 25.59% increase to those current premiums, bringing the renewal to $1.9 million. The good news is that we were able to negotiate a decrease. That number came in at 18.06%, which is then bringing the overall spend to $1.8 million. Because you currently have your dental and your life insurance with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they also extend an additional 1.5% discount to the medical premium. So the overall exposure, effective 11/1, will be $1.8 million, right? So the overall increase that does also include the 1.5% discount is 16.29%. So you started at almost 26%, and then with our negotiation efforts and the additional discounts, we got it down to 16.2. right? And this is obviously keeping everything as it is today, making no modifications to the existing plant designs. All right? So the overall increase, that next paragraph, that 16.29% equates to $258,000, $258,404, right? Below that, everybody, is just a overview, again, of what the village has been paying, what the initial renewal looked like, what the concessions look like, beginning in 2019. This is a 6-year review, right? So in 2019, it's always a good idea just to kind of see where you started and kind of where you are. So you'll see through our efforts, and I'll just take a look at 2019. We started at 22.54. That was the initial increase, and then, of course, with the negotiations, we got it down to 12.2, and then the variation in that cost that we were able to negotiate was a little over $77,000. So that's basically what this chart is going to illustrate, beginning in 2019 to current, right? So your average initial renewal is coming in at 19.39%. With our final revised renewal based on our negotiations, it's 9.59%, and then the average or the annual total after those negotiations, $810,000 and some change. So the good news again is that even though the average is 9.59%, you guys are still within that 8 to 10% industry trend. And another thing, too, to note, your renewal that we received this year, the 25.5%, was related to medical conditions, right? You have a lot of high-cost claimants. I believe that component was about 18%. So that's what the medical looks like. Any questions about the medical?
All I can say is it looks good to me.
Yeah.
It looks very good. They did a great job negotiating this.
Yeah.
And I've been on those teams.
Okay. So page 2, just really quickly, your dental program is also with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Your current premiums are a little over $64,000. Your dental is currently in a rate guarantee, so we got a 0% modification, so no changes to the dental. Your vision is also is with IMED. You can see what your annual premiums are for that, a little over $8,000. No change to those rates as well, so that remains constant, status quo. But we also were able to secure those same rates for the next 4 years, or 3 years. So that renewal, those rates are guaranteed until November 1 of 2027. Okay? And then, of course, the life insurance, we did see a slight increase to the insurance, 14%. It's going to show you your annual premiums, and this is all plans combined for 2023, what you're paying today, $1.6 million. What you will be paying, all plans combined again going forward, beginning 11/1, is $1.9 million. And then, of course, that increase that I talked about, the annual difference from your current exposure is $260,000 and some change, which equates to about 15.5%. So as far as I'm concerned, I think this is a pretty satisfactory renewal considering where you started. Any questions? Mm-hmm. Question?
So the 2024 renewal premiums is based off of, which one are we talking for this year?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Where is the current insurance premiums that was paid for this year? Which one? Where's that?
So, yeah, so what you mean for just the medical or for all plans combined?
For medical.
The medical is on page 1, right? So if you look at the very top where it says under the medical with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, 2023, your annual premiums, $1.5 million. That's what you guys are paying today based on the current enrollment. Okay? And then again, going forward with the renewal that we just received, that increase of that 0.59% equates to 1.9 million. So
Based-
that
Based on the current enrollment.
current enrollment, correct. And again,
Okay, so I know the village manager's not here, but I do know that there was a lot of employees or people that was getting insurance that was taken off. So what would be did you factor in the new amount of employees or insurance people that it would be covering?
so what we typically do, whenever we receive the census from the village, that's going to capture all of the enrollments to date. So if there were any modifications made to that enrollment after probably the latter part of September, they may not have necessarily been loaded or added into these numbers. So if there's been a significant modification to that, we can, yeah, they were taken off, but I'm not for certain if
But
they
the-
were factored in. Well, we can,
Right,
you know,
I
we can
think that-
change the enrollment if needed.
Right, because I think that from my understanding, that a lot of people were still on, but as of the beginning of the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
year, they're going to be taken off.
Yeah.
So is this insurance premium based off of the proposed new
Probably
number
not.
of
Yeah.
people?
Oh, you had modified that census? So yes. I didn't realize, I don't manage the census reports, but if Leslie indicated that enrollment changes, those enrollment changes were sent to our office, so then I guess the answer will be yes to that.
So those enrollment changes, because I know that's what you stated, that a lot of the premium, it was so high because there was a lot of people that was on that had pre-existing conditions, but I know a lot of them would be off because we kind of got,
Sure.
I
So,
think they switched over to like the Medicare or something
sure,
like that.
yeah, so-
to me, that whole number should be adjusted, or has it been adjusted
well,
to those
again,
new numbers?
I'm not for certain what the actual number was.
Right,
So
'cause-
what's going to happen if those people that were initially on the policy and should have been removed and they incurred claims that factored into that 18% that I talked about as far as your, your claims, your high cost claimants, next year, obviously, that's when the renewal will be factored in. They will not be factored into the renewal for next year. But right now, if they were on the policy and they should not have been, as far as the claim exposure, that's already done. But you follow what I mean? Understand what I'm saying? So the claims that they incurred if they were not on the policy, and they shouldn't have been on the policy, those claims were already incurred. So what's going to happen, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, they will keep an account of who's
yes.
enrolled, right? They're going to see if it was initially, let's say, 50 people, and it should have only been 40. The premiums are still going to be what they are going to be, but your total monthly costs will go down.
I mean, I understand.
And there's-
This is more of a question, maybe it was, the village manager's not here, so she can't be able to answer, but I know that's what they was talking about as for a lot of people, employees, and those that were on health insurance will be taken off at the beginning of the year. I don't know what that number is going to be, but the numbers you are quoting here is based off of the current enrollment and the same projected current enrollment, because that's what I'm stating.
Can I
Right.
state something? Okay. Under group policies, as far as I know, we didn't have pre-existing. So
Yeah,
when
I
you
think that
start
was
a
just-
job, they don't
No,
look
no.
at your background
It
and
might
see.
not be pre-existing.
But
I'm-
you
I think-
mentioned
I-
pre-existing.
I mentioned
so-
it, but it's
oh,
like
okay.
those that was, she mentioned that the
High-cost
18
claimants.
The high-cost
So,
claimants.
that's not-
And a lot of those high-cost claimants might be off now.
Right.
Okay.
That's what
That's
I'm-
true.
So-
But we
for
don't know
next-
that for sure. But let's just say that they were those that, were incurred all the claims. The high-cost claimants were the folks that shouldn't have been on the policy. Because the renewal is already completed, the numbers are what they are from a renewal standpoint. But the premium component is I think, what you're referring to. So again, that 1.9 that I talked about, or whatever the final number is, that may go down slightly based on enrollment only. These numbers are specifically based on, obviously, the increase and then the number of people that are enrolled in the policy. I don't know what that number was off the top of my head in terms of who should not have been on the policy. Do you have an average?
We removed 14 previous employees. 14 were removed. And when we removed those 14 employees, we also ended up removing for whatever reason, one had passed away. One had passed away, the others we removed because they shouldn't have been on there. This had nothing to do with anybody that was 65. Those will be coming forward, but this was based on what we found where people were no longer working here, but they were still being covered. So we took those off. When we did the census, because we had to turn in a census with everybody's names and who's employees, that had every current employee up through the newest hired employee. We turned those in, and that's what the numbers are based on.
Yeah.
We also, when Bridget references the amount for the claims that we had, believe it or not, the 14 that we lost did not contribute to some of the high claims that we have right now. We never shared that, but there are a lot of high claim employees in the village that we have a lot of high paying claims that we pay out. So that's what this number references.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that the numbers we're seeing is based off of
Yeah.
all the adjustments of whatever's going to happen next year from what is about to change.
Everyone is clear on how this works. Typically, when you have your medical renewal, there are three components that usually make up that renewal factor. It's usually based on demographics of an organization, trend, which is just inflation, and then, of course, your medical conditions. And as Leslie mentioned, you guys have about 9 large claims currently, and current claimants are basically, employees who have conditions. They're ongoing, so it's still going to cost the village additional dollars. It may even roll over into the next renewal. We just don't know, who it is and what the actual conditions are. Okay?
And is it correct that normally when an employee leaves the village or leaves the company, that they're only covered up to the last day of that month unless the contract says otherwise?
Correct.
And they're offered COBRA instead?
That's
for any
correct.
ongoing coverage that they may need. And COBRA is extremely high because now you're no longer under that umbrella with the group.
That's true. And to be honest with you, COBRA is very expensive. Even though folks don't take COBRA, it's really important that you still have to extend their rights to them. But, I would just anticipate that if someone did, in fact, leave the village for whatever the reason, they would, in fact, be covered through the end of the month. They can opt for COBRA. Chances are they won't elect it. So if they were a high-cost claimant, then obviously that will be eliminated from your portfolio.
And it's unfortunate that under the way they had things, that people had left and were still being covered.
Yeah.
And their coverage didn't end at the end of that month.
Yeah.
They were going on and on and on.
Yeah, now
and
that...
we were paying.
Yeah, that was an administrative, oversight at some point. But when we were advised to have those employees taken off, then, of course, that's what we did do that. Any additional questions?
No, I be recognized, Mayor. I just wanted to comment that significantly the cost I see is we're talking 8 years later. I think when I came in, we were hovering around $1-point-something million overall, and here it is 8 years later. I have to say this is better than what I anticipated, considering watching the insurance, especially after discovering that you had people who were still on the insurance and being covered. Because another point that was made was that the insurance, when it came to paying out the bills in the village or things that were costing, health insurance was indeed one of the eyeballs of the authorities, because they wanted to know, how do you pay $1 million plus? And I don't know what was the outcome or if they're still looking into it, because investigations the last several years. We just seen with Ford Heights, something like that started in 2017, and they just got a guilty verdict this month or last month. So you never know, but I'm very impressed, Ms. Stewart, how everything, the costs and how we're managing it, and that it is much lower than what it was when I first came in 2017.
Thank you.
No, I don't think that's it, Ms. Millie. And I just to move, kind of, I don't want to really rehash that, but since you brought up an important point, there were just people on the insurance, such as employees that are not here no more, and then they were carrying their families, their babies, you name it, and the village was just cutting checks, paying for insurance, and your tax dollars was just steady pouring into Blue Cross Blue Shield, and on all ends. And so I would say this is probably the best year that, to my understanding, that, when it came to going through that list and seeing who belongs, who don't belongs, and then come with these quotes. And then note, I'm mentioning 2024 compared to 2017, where, it was just ridiculous. Over $1 million alone out of our pocket going straight into the insurance, where now things are being done correctly. So, really the numbers that I'm really calculating in my mind is maybe no more than $500,000 more than when I first came on this board. So that's good. It's good. It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I yield my time.
I have another question. Who was I don't know who's here. Who were we using before? Who was our employee benefits program with before? I mean, I was reading Vista. What is the relationship with Vista National?
So,
What is
yeah,
it?
Vista National, Brown and Brown, we're a division of Brown and Brown. We have been partnered with the village for probably since 2018, maybe 2018 or 19. So we're the broker
So you're the
consultant.
same one. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
I have a question. Hold on one moment. I had my paper somewhere. So this is discussion for OSLAD grant for the golf course. So I wanted to read what an OSLAD grant program is. It's the Open Space Lands Acquisition and Development Program. It is a state finance grant program that provides funding assistance to local government agencies for acquisition and or development of land for public parks and open space. Projects vary from small neighborhood parks or tot lots to large community and county parks and nature areas. The state program is financed by a percentage of the state's real estate transfer tax. So this OSLAD grant, to me, should be used for that purpose. I don't think we should be doing an OSLAD grant for the golf course. The golf course, if it's managed correctly, can fund itself. And I also feel that we have other programs that we can offer to be saying we should have a grant for. For instance, if we're doing an OSLAD grant, I feel that it should be done for either the pool area, to come up with a plan to figure out what to do with the pool area, because it goes up to $600,000. So that's the grant max of $600,000, and that's just what they will provide. So we should be doing something like for the pool area. Another thing we should probably be doing is something maybe of our walking paths, to get those repaved, to get the trees cut down. That's another thing. Over there in Palmer Park, there's an option to maybe do something with the parking lot, to maybe get a bigger parking lot, to use some of that land over there because there's no parking lot. To me, the OSLAD grant should be used for something to do in the community as for the parks, not for the golf course. We already put in for a bond for the golf course, paid it off. If we manage it correctly, the golf course can bring in the revenue to take care of itself. That is my statement.
I have a
And
question. I do.
I was,
So is this OSLAD, is this a matching grant?
This one may not be, because I know that the village has been very successful before when the
You could only apply, I'm sorry, are you done?
No, I'm just saying, so it doesn't say an OSBAC grant, and the only thing that we're gonna apply for the OSBAC grant would be funding for the for the golf course. You could apply for OSBAC for here, you can apply for OSBAC for that particular parcel, and on and on and on.
The Osland grant, so I didn't read the rest. Eligible projects, so it talks about eligible projects, which include acquisition of land for new park sites or park expansion, water frontage, nature study, and natural resource preservation. 2, development or renovation of picnic and playground facilities, outdoor nature interpretive facilities, sports courts and play fields, swimming pools, benches and bathhouses, campgrounds and fishing piers, winter sports facilities, park roads and paths, parking, utilities and restrooms, and architecture engineering services. So the golf course is not one of them. There's plenty things that was just stated for eligible projects that we have here in this community that need some attention, which talked about the park roads, the paths, the parking. We have a host, a swimming pool area. Not to say we have to have a swimming pool, but doing something with that area. The OSDAC grant, you can only do it once a year, and it's a max of $600,000. So I don't think that we should be using that OSDAC grant to apply for, to use it for the golf course.
I'm not in disagreement with it, but go, okay, anybody else, trustee?
Mayor, who? Williams? Oh, okay. Tom?
Okay, so the OSBAC grant also is for distressed communities, so we are not a distressed community that I know of. This, for distressed communities, I think I printed out a list. I don't think we're on the list for distressed communities. 90% of those grants go to distressed communities, and also, if our audits are not done, will we be eligible to get a grant? No. I have a list.
Only a handful called me and asked me about things on the real, keeping it 100 about what's going on in the community. So then when this OSBAC opportunity appears, then everything is wrong. They should be going this way, they should be going this way. There are so many opportunities and multitudes of grants that be applicable to our community. Don't cut our vote because you think it should be something else, but it's fine and dandy, and I'm supportive of all that. But when it comes on the agenda, as a trustee, the main job is to set legislation and set laws and policies in place. As for example, looking at the old stuff that we've had on our books that go back to 1979 and beyond then, that's what we should be doing. Looking at the legislation that was then the Flintstones to update to the Jetsons. So don't limit the OSLAD grant. And I'm just saying, I'm for supporting to any place in this community. If it's the golf course to be the focus, because let me tell you, I came on this board with Trustee Covington at the time, and it was Trustee Gutierrez at the time. That golf course facility hasn't been upgraded since 2005. The carpet is the same carpet in there, through the grace of God, and Madam Covington can attest to that. It hasn't been any upgrades. The only upgrade that has been done there is the deck, which was a good thing. The heating system was really all wrong because it's all 4 different heating units, because each heating unit controls a different room, which is really kind of antiquated now because you use one whole thing for the whole unit. So there's an opportunity to cut some of the heavy expenses that we really need to get done in the up and
No.
That's what the agenda says.
Golf course.
Golf course, I'm sorry, because I'm so anxious to get the big fire done. But, you know what, that's what it says, so, are you guys opposed to doing that?
I'm
Okay, can
opposed
I-
to you, you asked the question, are we opposed? Okay,
Trustee Williams and trustee Foster.
sure.
I got something to say too.
Okay, I'm not opposed to,
You guys put your mic up, so you won't have no feedback.
okay, I'm not opposed to us applying for any grants that's gonna bring growth and development in our community. Now, I think as far as the pool, I think that's kaput, because that pool should not be revised. We still have water issues out here. It's a lost cause. We can use it for other things, but I think, and I remember back in the day when we were paying like $25,000 a month water bill for the pool, and we weren't hardly getting any revenue in. So it was like a defeated task at that time. So I think as far as the pool, that should be stricken until we can get our water situation, because I don't know too many parents that's gonna allow their kids to have that water going in and out of them, knowing that it's not what it's supposed to be. But I'm for any type of grant that's gonna bring growth and development. I'm not opposed. Make sure that have in mind, we should always workshop it and ask their opinion and find out what it is the residents want.
Excuse me, Mrs. Morgan. I'm asking you for organ. I'm sorry, Mrs. Morgan. Have a good night, Mrs. Morgan. Trustee Fortune has.
Can't put her out. No. Put nobody out.
Hey, Chief, would you please remove out the meeting? Trustee Fortune, you had the floor.
Oh, hold on, trustee McFadden wanted to go first. Go.
No, she should be able to be heard. Yes. You should be able to be heard. You should be able to be heard. No, this is our village, and we don't want her put out. She lives here. We don't want her put out. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's the
Okay, I was just agreeing. He said, what?
Let us have order, please.
She's got her belongings here.
Trustee McFadden, let's move forward.
Okay, I was just agreeing to what the mayor said about the golf course, 2005, last. No, I wouldn't. Huh, okay.
Okay. Trustee McFadden, let's move forward.
Okay, I was just agreeing with what the mayor said about the loan because the golf course has not been updated since 2005. And 2007 is when I got married and it's still not updated. So we could use some of that to update that and do, okay, all right.
Mayor.
Okay,
Oh,
It's just a distraction, and that's why people, they're not focusing on what you
you got to lift weights. If you're going to do all that, you need to lift weights. But, right. Okay. So I did see this in our board packet. I guess the question that I seen on here, September 10th. Ms. Scott is not here, so I can't ask the question, but Mayor, was this her idea or was it yours? It was the manager's idea. Right. Okay. Oh, well, let me say this. Okay. No, I'm fine, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. But let me also double check. This is not have been applied for, although it says September 10th on here. And I think that board meeting, we canceled it because we had someone there, and I think it was the night of the presidential debate. Right. So we did not apply for this yet. When it opened.
what the golf course did.
Oh, the grant.
Oh, the grant.
Okay. Okay. So let me just say, I'm going to give my opinion about this, and then I'm going to shut it down so we can get out of here tonight. The air condition? Right. Well,
I have one question.
I still,
Well-
I still want to get to mine.
Only thing I wanted to say is 2005 was the last time it was done. 2007 is when I got married there, nothing was done, and I just had, event there this past Saturday for my first grandchild that's coming. So out of all those years, it still hasn't been. So it's time to do some updating in that.
Can we
You
use
have a
our
nice place that's paid for, that can bring money in, but why not upgrade it the way it should be?
Yeah.
Were you done?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, and then I think it's gonna yield right back to what you're about to say, Donna, because my feelings on this is probably the same sentiment of what you were trying to express. We're applying for a grant, but let me make this point. The golf course itself, especially last year, was generating money. I have a huge problem because we may be asking for a grant, but also at the same time, let's take a look at what happened up there. We done had, since 2017, 2 managerial companies. 3 companies up there, 2 of them were managerial. They're supposed to move that golf course forward. The last one, money is missing. It's missing to the point that it did cause a criminal investigation, to the point that I can tell you right now, it's not closed, the investigation. We done heard the number. All you had to do was sit here from the time we cut that check until the time they decide to open up. Then we want to sit up here and we purchased equipment, and I'm going to tell you now, we were not open. We heard when it came to a reason why it's not open, Madam Clerk became an excuse. It's too much money. And when I say to Madam Clerk, they claim she didn't sign a paper or something. I don't know what it was. But that was over 300, and we know that's not true because I'm on that bank account too. It's too much money at that golf course to the point that I'm afraid something like this don't happen, it's not going to move us forward. I agree with Janelle. Yeah, it needed upgrading. But we had over $3 million that was pumped into that golf course, and nothing came of it.
That's exactly.
Nothing came of it. And we don't have a who? Now, but look what we did. We poured so much money out, and not only we poured so much money out, all we can do right now is hit reset. Now, reading it, in which I'm gonna let Trustee Fulcher go into it, I just want us to mind how much money we spent when it came to that golf course, to the point that last year I seen success when Ms. Scott really got it going. But then all of a sudden we hit this bump in the road this year, and that is something we can't continue to do with this golf course. Even if we were applying for this grant, we need to take care of the business. Because at the end of the day, the residents, they're watching. Half the time when I was sick, I couldn't talk, but I can hear. They hated the way that grass looked. They hated, when we finally cut it, golfers were saying that it's still bad, that their balls were still getting lost on the fairway, and that should not have been happening. And now we're about to ask for a grant for something. I think that if we're going to have a plan, let's have a plan, get it out the way, and really not look back unless the authorities have something that they're going to do about it. And then I think I've mentioned it before, there's some things we need to recoup some of that money that we were pumping out that first year to put back into that golf course, because everybody in this room know when it was myself and Trustee Jenkins Bell on the board, how many times have we agreed, and the rest of the board agreed, when we had $250,000 check going out, $750,000 check going out, $90,000 going check, and the board said, you know what? No, stop, let's prove it. So I don't have a problem. I just seen this. I was a little baffled by it. I seen the reason to apply for this grant. I really prefer Ms. Scott to be here. She would articulate it. I just looked on here and seen it. It said the 10th of September, and then I seen the mayor's name on it, so I didn't know what was the deal of it, why we doing it. I thought it would be more of dealing with something with, not Craig's Park, but over there, Armstead Park, the trail, all the things that Trustee Fulcher mentioned, we can use that grant for, you know. But when it comes to that golf course, I just still want us to, when you bring it up, I'm gonna remind you, minimum of $3 million gone. We're not even talking about the revenue. And on top of it, a criminal investigation is still open on this golf course for whatever reason. I don't know why we want to pretend that it didn't happen. I know some people wish that I'm not on this board no more so I can make it, so they can make the comment go away. But it's well and alive, and we need to do something about it. I yield my time.
I have one more question.
I'm
Oh, go ahead.
Truly understood. And if we're gonna be looking at everything, let's look at the $34.9 million that was transferred out to TIP into the general fund. We're gonna talk about stuff, let's talk about real things that affect our taxpayers. That's not just conversation, that's solid facts. If you wanna talk about an investigation, that's what needs to be investigated. That's why it's still open. And whatever happens, it's happening. Let God's will be done. And get all this nonsense out of the way. If you guys wanna move forward with the renovation,
He did. If you want me to tell you, you want me,
No,
he did. I'll tell you what the FBI agent said if you want to talk about that. Okay. Right.
Okay, so to go back to the grant, the Osland grant, you can only apply for once a year for one thing. And I don't feel that we should be using this Osland grant to be applying for anything for the golf course. We spent, over the past couple years, that's the same thing what Trustee Brooks was saying, millions of dollars was given to a management company and nothing happened. Okay? You talking about stuff that hasn't been renovated, or that it needed renovated since 2005, 2007? We still don't have no parking over there by Palmer Park. The pool's been done, not to say I want a pool, I don't want a pool, I don't think we should have a pool, I think it should be something, a splash pad. Something should be done to the building, like you said, our buildings, that is our building, and we should do something to it. That could be something where we could say community center. Use our buildings that we have, but do I want a pool? No. Splash pad? Maybe. I'm just saying, that's a conversation that myself and other trustees and other residents should have. Should we do something with the walking paths? That hasn't been utilized in a long time. We have walking paths here for residents that could be able to walk. We can't walk them because you can't walk on them. The curves is, the sidewalks is all broken up. The trees and the weeds is covering it up. So we should be using the Osland grant for stuff that we have not done in years. The golf course, we didn't put money into the golf course for years. Years, millions of dollars, and none of that stuff occurred. The golf course can bring in revenue to support some of the things. We already spent a whole lot of money by buying new equipment, getting the whatever things that needed to be done, but this Osland grant is one thing we can choose for the entire year, and we should not be choosing the golf course to get this grant fund. We should be using it for what its purpose is intended for, which is something within the parks, the streets, the path, the walkways. That is my statement.
One more question. Can we, so since TIF 5 is going to be dissolved, can we use some of that money to refurbish the golf course?
whatever the pleasure of the board says, we'll just have to figure it out. Whatever the pleasure.
That was not, that was a question.
I said, whatever the pleasure of the board is, you know what? But you know what? We're fighting.
Are you his attorney or our attorney?
We're disputing over things. Get the grant. Then we can decide. Get the grant. Get the money.
Grant for this, right. Use the Osland grant for what is
I made
needed.
it clear we should get the grant, and then we can decide
Have you
what the
talked-
residents want.
Mayor Rudez, if you were transparent and you talked to the entire board and the residents, then all of us would be able to see what the comprehensive plan is. We've talked about it multiple times, to have workshops, to get together, to talk about this. Haven't I talked to you last year to say we need to get a workshop together? Let's get it together. Let's do this. You mentioned also that no one talked about any grants. I sent emails to the village manager and copied you several times on grants that I've seen that I thought we should apply for. So don't say that this never comes up. It's been addressed. I've reached out about different grants, and I don't get a response. So you want to talk about, have I seen a comprehensive plan? Show it to me. Let us talk about it, have a workshop, and we can all deal with it.
Okay, so Trustees, just for the record, prior to you coming on the board, when Brooks, Jenkins, and everybody else, we had community tours.
Prior to our coming on the board, that's the key.
Let me finish, please. We've had community tours where we started in Industrial Park with carpools of over 50 to 75 cars, starting in Industrial Park, coming all through the town, going all through the roads and everything. We've taken surveys on multiple different occasions. Now, it might not have happened because we've only been here 18 months, a year and a half right now, but the things that we've decided have taken residents' results from the questionnaires and got their input from what it is. So to say that we haven't done it, to say that we haven't operated in full transparency is just not the truth, because we've had the community workshop. We've had the round tables here where we rotated and moved different places. We talked about the TOD study.
Oh, no, he ain't getting ready.
So we talked about all the stuff.
Ever tweak that into
If
the,
you would like to do something different or add something else to it, that's fine and dandy, but to say that it hadn't occurred is just not the truth.
And I've attended those workshops, previous workshops. I'm talking about me as a trustee on this board. I have not received any information from our mayor, who is the chair, to say, let's get together, board, let's talk about the comprehensive plan. What are your insights? What do you recommend? What should we be working on? That did not happen. And it has been asked multiple times.
Well, the couple of times that we did ask to meet and convene that you guys canceled out on it, because we were going no, but we're not here to dispute all that. Are we going to move forward with this or not? Because we're going to do workshops. But trustee, I mean, Ms. Jenkins, the public section is at the end here. No. This is not open discussion, the public section is at the end.
Let me address,
Um,
let me address an issue.
oh, okay.
Let me address an issue from a legal, excuse me, from a legal perspective. Let me address an issue. In a board meeting, only the trustees and the mayor can speak with each other. Now, the public definitely have a right to speak and are welcome to speak, but that is regulated. The law allows that, and it's regulated by saying, if you have something to address the agenda, and many people, I heard them saying, well, I just got the agenda. Well, the agenda have been posted. The village must post it. They do post it 48 hours in advance. Well, let me, I'm sorry, I'm not arguing back and forth. The fact of the matter is, there's 2 times where the public can participate. Outside of it, people in all towns, in all municipalities all over Illinois get removed from meetings when they speak outside of those 2 times. The first is when you're talking about the agenda and items of the agenda, you speak up front. Again, presuming you've gotten the agenda at least 48 hours before, and then you speak to that. If you want to talk in something that is not related to the agenda, then at the end of the meeting, after all the discussions are closed, right before adjournment, you have a right to speak. Most villages will allow you to speak for 3 minutes per person, and you speak your piece. The village elected officials don't have to answer anything, don't have to engage anything, they take your input in, take it into consideration in their future actions. And so what is happening here is what is permissible by the law, what is followed by just about every single municipality in this state. So at the end of this meeting, the mayor, the presiding officer over the meeting, will allow anyone who wrote their name, wants to speak, to come up. They have 3 minutes to say whatever they please, and then the meeting will adjourn. There's nothing that's being passed today, to tell you the truth. Today there is 0 being passed.
he has it at the beginning and again at the end. He has it twice.
Sooner or Yeah, so that's why the public will come at the end for anything, because we want to do the business of the people. That's what we're here. These meetings should last 45 minutes. All right, so where we at? So what are we doing with the OSLAD?
I say no. No, to the golf course for the grant. Not for the golf course. I'll move forward for something else.
Can we hear from Ms. Scott on this?
Okay, so someone make, but we don't gotta make no motion. Okay, so it's not moving forward, so we know what to do. All right, so we moving good. So we're gonna hold it. We're gonna hold it. We're gonna hold the progress. All right. The last item is item 51D, which is a discussion motion authorizing the renewal of a contractual agreement with Leslie Barry as Human Resources Consultant. Are there any questions before Mrs. Berry takes the podium? No questions?
No, I just want to say to Ms. Berry that you have done an outstanding job in this community. Before you came, we had no structure. We had nothing going in the order that it should have been going in. And now we finally have structure. We have people in place where they're supposed to be. We don't have people putting extra time on the table. We don't have people wearing 3 and 4 hats, moving money, giving bonuses, doing all of the above. Now we have somebody that's clearly a professional and making sure things are ran properly. And I can't thank you enough for doing that for this community.
Well, Miss Berry's at the podium and she gonna speak. What you gonna do, Miss Berry? Or you just?
Hey, I think it's on now. Thanks for that compliment. I really appreciate it. My new contract that I'm asking for a renewal on is only going through July or 60 days after the AFSCME contract is settled. We start negotiations on that in April. We want to get that right, and then 60 days after that. So I talked with Felicia. We actually sent a request to AFSCME to start the bargaining on that. So that's my goal, to do that. So to be done and help you guys get somebody in here for your HR professional going forward. I thank you.
Oh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Miss Berry, I did see that you had a salary increase.
Yes.
For almost 2,000. Could you explain that?
Yes, 67% to be exact. Actually, the reason that you're seeing that is because when I first came here, I gave a very low ball because I thought it would be a very low ball project that I would be working on. I average now anywhere between 30 and 35 hours a week, sometimes Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, and that's why the cost has definitely gone up. I didn't initially plan. Actually, I spent the weekend kind of going over and making a list of everything that's been accomplished, and I make no excuse for my fee going up.
Oh,
And-
do you have those accomplishments with you?
Yes, I do. Would you like to hear them, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me run them down to you. Onboarding, I've done that with the recruiting, staffing, and new hires. New hires, we had 28 new hires this year so far. 28, and of the 28, just to break it down a little bit further, of the 28, 22 are the actual hires. The other were the 6 interns, but that still involves meeting with each one of those individuals, interviewing them, and also bringing them on board. So that's the 28 there. Terminations, we had 14. In terms of voluntary, we had 10 voluntary termination, 3 retirees, and then for involuntary, we had 3. I've done a total of 21 exit interviews. I handled the workers' comp, which wasn't initially part of what I was supposed to be doing. We have 2 ongoing workers' comp. We had 4 this past year. We brought on a new company that I worked with. We also have the health and safety. I got to work with on the OSHA, and actually, one of the best things, I called a guy that used to be here, Gary, yes, and he helped us get through that OSHA audit before Chris got here, but I worked with him. We did the ethics training for the village. We are continuing with the harassment training. With employee relations, I work with the police chief and also the chief of the fire department. Put together a couple of employee programs. Also worked with the employees on getting them to voluntarily use the EAP that we've had to go through. Labor relations, I am happy to say that with regard to your 3 unions, Teamsters, we had 3 grievances this past year, which we all settled before they went further. AFSCME, we had 0, and I know Keisha's watching this, so thank you. But we had 0 AFSCME grievances. IAFF, the fire department, we had 0 since I've been here, but there were a couple that were pending before that were resolved. We still had an unfair labor practice going on. I've worked with the arbitrators and the attorneys to make that happen. I've held labor management meetings. I will say AFSCME is always tough, but the Teamsters have been exceptionally tough. We had 3 unemployment hearings, of which we won, not having to pay them a penny on 2 of those. Well, hold on.
Wait, I can't hear.
Huh?
I'm telling everybody, I don't mind, but I can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear?
Right, remember, I only got 1 ear, and everybody's
Oh, I'm
clapping.
sorry. Okay, don't
yeah, they
clap.
clapping, I can't hear.
I've worked with IMRF to make sure that we were standard there. I've argued daily with Chris from finance, and we've become to be friends. The summer intern program was a success. We did the audit of the personnel files. We were able to remove the termed files and set them up. The one place Liz has been trying to get me to go is in the basement in one of your buildings with some old, I'm not doing that one. I don't know which, I think it's the chief, the fire chief. I'm not doing that. But we did, well, they said there were bugs and big bugs down there. The biggest thing that we did, and we just talked with Felicia about this, is the salary audit. And we know that we have some challenges, big challenges. And after talking with Felicia last week, we did draft a letter that we'll put together for our contract. Payroll is ongoing every week. If we could just, the system Paycom is outstanding. If we can just get the employees to really use it. So we're working on that. I've had a total of 5 disciplines this year. And of the 5 disciplines, 4 of them were written disciplines, and 1 of them was a suspension. The insurance, continuing to work with Bridget and Cahill, I think I said his name right, on open enrollment. We've actually done open enrollment. I think we have 1 more week next week where we get the employees to come in to just understand their benefits. The chiefs and Neva and what's his name, Chris is not here, but they just got their performance evaluations and got that information. We did a self-evaluation for them, and then now Liz will start writing it, but we were able to send that out. And then also just being available. The golf course has been the home on the weekends that we've been working with everyone over there to bring that up to speed. So I'm glad that we got a lot accomplished, and I can hope we continue to, but it's just been a pleasure to work for you guys. It's a long ride, but it's worth it. And
well, let me ask this.
Wait, let me go one more. And your employee handbook is done, and it's been circulated to the department heads for them to read. Felicia has seen that. We're good there. And Liz, I saw, she doesn't know I saw this, but I know she left sick. But she had it in her bag. Neva designed the cover. It's great. So we hope to give you that book in the next couple of, well, first I dated it August 1st. Then we had more changes. Then I dated it September 1st, and we had more changes. Now I dated it November 1st, But I'm waiting for a couple of folks to give me their information. I will add with you, I am working with the attorney that's handling one of our lawsuits, and she called me today and asked me, can I share a copy of our FMLA policy? And one thing I think you'll like about that, the employee manual, not handbook, manual, every employee policy is in that employee manual. So, and I talked with Felicia several times about how do we get that given out to you guys? Do we send it electronically as a PDF? I already started making the books, but I've got a couple more changes. So that's what I've been doing for this past year, aside from playing golf. Okay, trustee.
Now, let me ask this question. What is it that you did not feel you were able to accomplish?
Okay, what I feel I was not able to accomplish because of budget constraints, but we're on it this year. I was not able to get hires in a timely manner because of budget constraints. So next year, when the budget's signed and passed, and Chris from Public Works and I just had this conversation the other day, if it's in your budget, we want to be able to do it. So that's where I felt that I didn't do what I wanted to be able to do with new hires. And I'm going to tell you, we average probably 20 resumes a day, and what we're getting is just crap. You know, I won't even go there, but I did have one person that wanted to work at home 5 days a week. What? You know, I mean, it's just, you know, she wanted did we have a screen that she'd be able to communicate with us? So it's just what we're getting. So in terms of that, the police chief and I were talking today about a plan that he's putting together. We're going to be able to work on that to hopefully get him some cops sooner than later. But staffing is the biggest thing that I feel like I didn't get done the way that I would have liked to.
And your tenure here, what is it that in your observation, in all honesty, with establishing over there in HR, that you think improvements need to be made, whether it's coming from board members, your village manager, what improvements you feel that should need to be made?
That we need to make?
Yeah.
No transparency? I think Liz is fantastic. I think that hear me out, I think she's fantastic. I don't know when the woman sleeps. I talk to her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She stopped me from talking to her at 6 o'clock. So I think that Liz needs to get the support from the board, just transparency, that she needs. You know.
Transparent, like the thumbs up for certain
not
projects
only thumbs
or something?
up, but even today is a perfect example. We maybe, like, I remember, I used to work with Larry Walsh a lot. What he would do is he would talk to the board members before the board meeting, and he would want everybody would be on the same page. I just feel this community has so much to offer, and plus it's pretty. And the people, and these are real folks, everybody in here is passionate about their community. That's why we see the back and forth all the time, because everybody is passionate. But we also just got to respect each other. So, like I said, I think Liz is the bomb. I go to the golf course so that we can interview there, because she's got to open up on a certain day. So we do that. You know, Sundays that she's working, you know, the department heads, they want to kick butt, you know, and it's happening, but sometimes we just feel it's not happening as quick as we want. So
on one of the deliverables that you have in the contract, it says meet in person bi-weekly or necessary with the village manager and or the mayor, but not less than once a month. My issue only with that is that this is a managerial strong government.
Right.
True enough, the mayor is the chair. But the board dictates to the village manager.
Right.
And on something like that, I would like to know meet with you. I think that should be something that it means, that you would rather meet with the village board, and trustees,
Well-
and not just the mayor.
Well, here's an idea that I actually ran across Liz and Trustee Williams. I had mentioned this. As we start contract negotiations, that's when the board really needs to be involved. But perhaps we look at what's called a personnel committee, where issues of personnel, and it doesn't have to be the same day as a board meeting. There's always the agenda, but where we do a personnel committee meeting, where you all have the opportunity to hear not only some of the lawsuits that are going on, but you get to hear a lot of the other things. Because you do have a lot of good people, and so we have to start looking out to say, what can we do, or how can we move the person, or how can we give them assistance? So yes, I agree, and if we can, then we do.
Right.
We can do that.
Okay. Have you familiarized, because actually I noticed here that you will be doing a negotiation with ASME. Is that per the village manager request, or, because I see here you have on there, on the front of it, that you wanted to be in a collective bargaining agreement negotiation. Is that per her agreement, or what brought that about in the contract?
Okay, so here's what brought that about. When I first got here and I went through the AFSCME contract, there's a lot in there that needs to either go away, and there's a lot in there, a lot of things that we need to add in there. I don't think that we do our labor management meetings with Jerry and Keisha, and what ends up happening is that some of the things in there, we really do need to make some changes. We also need to, and the Teamsters are coming and the IAFF, but we need to make some changes quickly in terms of their salary grade and all the other kinds of things. AFSCME is no joke right now in the things that they're asking, and we need to kind of be on top of that with them.
Okay. I'm glad that, and I've seen the busyness you have been doing.
Thank you. But can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
I also was under the impression, and I'm not certain how the form of government works, but I was also under the impression that we cannot address a trustee individually. Like, I can't just email Trustee Thompson something and ask her a question. It has to go to all of the trustees. So that's something that I had heard that I'm not supposed to do, so I don't do things like that.
Yeah, because, and I'll just say, Leslie, that, because I think I've sat with you before, and
Yes.
I think that there are a lot of things that was really, I think you kind of found out how we operate, and you worked around it, including dealing with personnel.
Yes, sir.
Because really, even when it comes to the Chiefs comes before the board. And I think, a lot of things that happens is that like you said, there's a miscommunication about trustees, and certain trustees are being pushed out and not being transparent. So I'm glad that I think you and I had that discussion in your office, the difficulty. But I was going to email you those questions, but something said that you were going to have it ready anyway today, so I left it alone, and my senses were right. So I just wanted to, I was just curious of why just July 31st, and then of course the salary, answer those questions. But other than that, I yield my time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have a
Yes,
question.
yes.
So I know you're here for part-time. So are you doing full-time now?
When I initially signed on, I signed on for 30 hours a week. I've been averaging anywhere between 40, 45, and on some weeks 50. And that's quite a bit. And I will, whatever Elizabeth needs me to do, I'm going to do. Whatever we talk about, I'm going to help her get through it, whatever it is. The only thing I don't understand is that tip stuff. I don't want to understand it. And I don't have to be in the office all the time, and, you know, and it's, yeah, so whatever I need to do to work with her, because like I said, I just have a lot of respect for that woman, and I know she's trying her ass off.
For recruitment,
Yes.
it just seems like it's an issue. Yes.
Yes.
We've had some come and we had some go. That was more recent. And then there's a lot of positions that's not being filled. What else are you doing to try to reach out to
Okay.
other applicants? Because I don't know what the mechanisms that is being done now other than posting it on like the Facebook page,
Okay, sure.
maybe
So-
the website or something, but are you going out to like
GovHR.
hiring events and different things like that, reaching out to some of the colleges, universities?
There-
I'm not sure, but it's like we have a lot of open positions
Right.
that it seems
So-
like.
So what we've done is for public works positions, pretty much I try to depend on Indeed. I try to depend on Chris because he's really connected to a lot of the suburbs. I will actually call a couple of others and find out. That's number one. For positions like the finance director, for positions like the, what's the other one that we're having a hard time with? Oh, HR, I'm sorry, for HR. I will actually go to their websites. For example, there's a company called GovHR, and they pretty much focus on the industry. I know the women that own that, and so they have allowed us to post for free at times. We've had to pay a small fee. I also post with IML. We've used their posting. And I've had folks call from other municipalities that are interested, and then we end up doing a background, and we find out, you know, they were terminated for theft, or they were terminated for insubordination. And it does, Trustee, it does get very frustrating when you bring somebody in and they're not up to the standards that they're supposed to. But we do continue. Indeed, my partner over here, she's posted for me on Indeed many times, and now we get applicants. Like I said, we average 20, 25 a day, but we're getting crap, and we want to be able to go to, what's the school, Governor State here. We've talked to them to see what they have, but again, it's hard. But in all honesty, it's not just here that's hard. Everybody that I talk to in HR, every conference that I attend, they're going through the same thing. And so that makes you feel a little better, but not really, like, because we need people. So, and I think Chris, with Public Works, we're up to speed. These guys, they need people. So it's tough, but we can't give it up.
Any new things to do? I mean, because we just really need to. I would love for a lot of these positions to get filled.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be able to do certain programs and services because they're not. And it's been on the books since last year, and I hate that it's going to affect what goes on within the community.
I agree with you.
And so I don't know what other things that you can do. I know they do with the headhunters and all that type of stuff, but if it's some other type of ways to reach out to try to get those applicants, I do know, I hear that it is difficult in a lot of community. HR is difficult to find qualified
it also starts.
workers, but
It also starts with the intern program. We had a couple of really good interns come through here. So the sooner they can hurry up and graduate, you might have your next generation that could come back here and
Which
do
is
that.
good.
So yes, so that's right in the community, and they too have a passion. But reaching out to some of the colleges, we also tried to meet with Prairie State. I've called them like 4 or 5 times, even to do postings, and they've not responded. But again, it was, you know, the summer going into the fall. Governor State has been very, very helpful and very supportive. I've reached out to JJC to see what they had, but it is hard, but we're not going to stop. We're going to keep looking. And even when we do the job fairs here, and I think we had one last week that they had where a number of people came in, we did. We also hired someone that was that only spoke Spanish, so we're dealing with that right now. We all have these little interpreters that we're using to help, you know, with her. She's in classes every Saturday, so we're trying to do that. So again, and they do have to have the right to work in the United States, and we have all their paperwork. So yes, and by the way, if any of the trustees have someone that has the knowledge, skills, and abilities to do the job, by all means, we want their resume. We want them to fill out the application for consistency, but all the time.
And then for the employee handbook and employee manual, I know you said y'all kind of not pretty much already had it bound, but I know it has to come to the board to review and approve it.
We're looking into that. We asked Felicia to do the research on that because I've spoken to a number of different municipalities, and it depended whether they were, now let me get it right, whether they were village administrator or village manager. That has something to do with who has to approve it. So we asked Felicia to check into that. And naturally, we want the board to take a look because all eyes are good eyes and to share that with you. But it's 117 pages, and we want to, like at first I said, well, we give it to the board. Will they get it back in a week? And, well, Liz said, are you crazy? You're lucky if you get it back by January 1st. But we want the boards, definitely we want the board to approve it and say, hey, you need to add more in there, you need to take some out. But one thing you'll find with this manual, and I think the guys that have read it already, one of the things is not only it's the policy, it tells the department head how to act and what to do if an employee doesn't follow the policy, each policy.
Right, because that's, we had issues on a lot of stuff not
Yes.
being in the employee manuals, don't know the salary breakdown, all these different things.
Yes.
Job descriptions, we've been asking for all of that information, so I understand that you worked on it, but we definitely want to make sure that we review the manuals.
Absolutely.
To make sure all the things that we've been asking for is a part of it.
Totally, yes,
So
absolutely.
as for approving it, that's the approval I'm saying that we would like to have.
Yes.
is to make sure the stuff is in there.
We put it, what I did was, we put the books together. So you have the book, you have the old policy very up front, then you have the new policy with everything in it, and then I did a spreadsheet that, and Felicia's the one who recommended me to do the spreadsheet of all the old and then all the new. And so we did that, and that's where we are right now. Like I said, my goal is to get it to you all. I already bought the binders for you. Neva developed the cover for us. So we did all of that. So yes, I like it. I think it's good. And I benchmarked from a lot of other communities like Bolingbrook I used as a benchmark. I used Highland. I used Homewood Flossmoor. I got their policies to see, just to see what I actually had Blue Cross Blue Shield's policy to see what they had to make sure we had everything in it. They wouldn't give me the Word document to cut and paste, but that was okay too. Yeah.
Thank you.
I was
One
gonna-
question.
oh, okay.
Yes.
One question for you, Ms. Berry.
Yes.
The key question I think that was asked last time, how far away are we where you step away, we have an HR department that you can hand over?
I'm gone by the end of July. No if, no ands, no buts. I'm gone. And my goal is to have you an HR person. I actually just had it changed in the budget so that we could have a full-time HR person instead of a part-time. And then AFSCME's contract will be settled by then as well.
So you would help guide that HR person that would take over and make sure that there's a smooth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I will tell you what I told Liz. As long as Elizabeth needs me to do something, whether I'm on contract or not, I'm going to do it for her.
Okay. All right. I yield my time.
Any other questions?
And I just want to say the last handbook that I know of that I forwarded was like 1978 or something.
1983.
And it was stapled together.
Yes.
Regular typing paper, Smith Corona typewriter.
And, you're
And
gonna
I
get-
still have it.
And
And
you're all
it's
going to get a
really
copy of
pretty
that
sad.
because that is the book that you have. So that's what's in front of the policy manual.
Thank you. You are the heart and soul of this village right now because
You
you have
are.
put
You
us
are.
on the map and we needed
Just keep
that
loving your
structure.
community.
I
Okay.
can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Yes, ma'am? Oh. Anything else? Today, yes.
All right, that concludes all the business items. Vivian Covington, public section, please. She need to come on? 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
our village manager, is she sick? Our village manager, is she sick? Oh, okay, all right. Do you know the facts? In the world we live in politics, people don't believe in facts. People want to believe what makes them feel good. And I saw a perfect example of that tonight. I am here and been here for a long time, and I'm real disappointed about this so-called park district. You cannot tax me out of my house. You cannot tax me out of my village. I've been here a long time. How in the world did that fail one time, and here it is back again? We need park and recs. This has the same functionalities as a park district. But I know why it is, because, okay, have you as the board, did you guys vote for that? Did you all talk about it? I'm asking the question. Okay, you didn't talk about it, so how in the world did it get in the court and get put down and voted on, and our mayor circulated the petition, and then and our trustees went and did, how could you do that to us? Don't you think we're paying enough and don't have nothing in this village? We're trying. But there's seniors out here right now. We lost 2,000 residents, and we're about to lose some more. I know 5 people right now. One of my residents, Albert Shaw, is leaving the village. He said, he had a slumlord. You know why? He said he called the village multiple times, and not one time did anybody come. His house was flooding. His house, the air conditioner never worked. Whatever code enforcement did, absolutely nothing. And I'm just so taken by what's going on. It's really bad. In the committee of the whole, what that's supposed to do legally, or if you go to IML, and which you do all the time, and somebody's not learning something, because a committee of the whole, if you're here, we're supposed to raise our hand, and you're supposed to acknowledge us. The structure of how a village runs is it's the residents first, then the board, then the staff. Not the other way around. We have a state in here. We have a right to say what we want to say. We're supposed to hold our hands up, and we're supposed to be acknowledged. This display today was ridiculous. But again, I cannot, and I don't know how you can think about justifying a park district. It failed the first time, it's going to fail again, because we're going to work everything I got to do. No, that's unbelievable. Why are we doing another taxing body? Have you had any workshop about it? Do you know what that's going to intense? I had a professional come and talk to a group of us about it. And if you don't have money right now, that park district is waiting for $50,000 that they haven't gotten in 5 years. There's no guarantee that all those funds are going to be there. There's no guarantee that money's going to come there, and they have the right to levy whatever they want. And I can imagine who's going to be on that board. I can just imagine who's going to be there. So I'm asking the board to still, with you guys, it's on the referendum. It's sad, but I'm going to tell everybody I can, do not vote for that. Don't do that to us right now.
Thank you so much.
We don't have enough, okay?
Thank you so much for your
And
comments.
I'm a registered voter. Anybody needs to vote, please. Who was the trustee? The trustee, what? I think it was McFadden and
Thank you.
the other lady. Miss, what's your name? I'm sorry. Miss Williams.
So, Ms. Covington. Yes, sir. Please, I do have a question for you. Can I ask you this question? Why weren't you so adamant when the library added an additional $1 million levy to add on for the new building that was on the last ballot in 2023? Let me finish, please.
Go ahead.
Because I just want to make a statement, because your comments are, we got history. So anyway, so I don't understand why there was so much animosity about doing the right things. And yes, the citizens do have the right to organize and get petitions outside the city council, because you know what? Don't continue to deprive the residents. Don't continue to mislead the residents. I have 3 properties here in University Park.
That's good, buddy.
And I'll tell you this, I will pay an additional $14 a month for the benefit of the next generation and give them something. Because what the library did, we're adding that $1 million additional.
Wait, no, wait. Go ahead. No, let them talk. Let the master talk.
All I would say is that we can just go back and just look at the ballot and see what's on the referendum.
Okay.
I could be wrong, so I just want to.
That's okay, sir.
Thank you so much.
No,
Ms.
but the
Covington.
library got a donation, sir. That's the difference. A donation of $1 million. They didn't have to pump us.
18% of the library.
Get it straight, you got a library board.
Mary Trust, please.
something else. Oh, okay. Is this mic still on? Okay, because we've been suffering here. We don't always hear. We are too far apart from you. And we, the residents that come here, we are taxpayers, and we are here for a reason. I can't sit that long, so purposely I walk around the room. I'm not trying to irritate anybody, but I went to PT today, and I had to get up, stretch my knee out. I see you laughing, but I don't care. But I can't sit that long, and you should think about that, maybe moving us up or do something about your mics. I know you got some new mics, but they're not working for your patrons back here. But when I heard about this, I was so upset with this because we voted this down last year. And I did a lot of checking around these other municipalities. Now, some of you all have been here a long time. I've been here. I built my house here in 1974. I didn't come here through a high-rise or a project or whatever. I built my house here. I and my husband decided to move in this area. We decided to move here because of Regal Farm, and I've seen nothing but it falling down. And everybody has a right to vote. They have a right to sign a petition. You have a right to do whatever you want to do. But when you take those seats up there and you run for office and you say that what you're going to do, you ain't doing it. But when you get up there and you be sneaky about something, and when this goes along, then that must be something wrong. I say there is flies in the buttermilk. There is something going wrong here. Now, there are several kinds of flies. Some are those big black flies, some are the little green flies. She wanted to shut me up. You all don't shut me up. I got bosses over here on my case. But here, I tell you this. The black flies lay eggs. Those are germs. The little green flies, and when the black flies lay the eggs, they turn into maggots. Okay, so I tell you what, those green flies lay maggots. So there's a fly in this buttermilk about your performance and how you did it.
I'm taking up some of her time. Before she run over, I just wanted to introduce what's going on to the upcoming events coming on with our community block club. Okay, for University Park, we have November 29th through December 18th, we have an outdoor Christmas decoration contest. And on December 7th, we have the Christmas ornament exchange on December 7th, 2024. And February the 22nd of 2025, we have our Black History Month. And I want to go over the requirements for our outdoor Christmas decoration contest. The outdoor Christmas decoration will be judged by volunteers who are not members of the Community Block Club. There will be the first, second, and third place winners. First place would be $100, second place would be $75, and third place would be $50. The winners must be present at the meeting on January the 4th, 2025 at University Park Library from 10:30 to 12:30 to receive their award. If you are ineligible to win if you won previously, you are an elected official, or you are a member of the Community Block Club. Christmas Ornament Exchange is December 7, 2024 in University Park Library from 10:30 to 12:30, and we have the Black History Celebration February 22nd, 25th at the 90 Town Center. That's all we have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your time has expired. Thank you. Deputy
Good evening, Mayor, Board, those present, those viewing. Just wanted to kind of piggyback on comment that I had made at the last board meeting regarding early voting hours at the University Park Library. I failed to mention that Governor State University also has early voting hours. It was gracious that I was allowed to give Neva a flyer in regards to the library with blessing in the absence of Manager Scott. May I also give her the one for Governor State? So both of these can be posted on the village website. Sir, in the absence of Manager Scott. Okay, I didn't hear a response. Sorry about that. And since today is the last day that any registrar was able to register people, I would like to say thank you to any and everybody that did allow me to register, and to emphasize, please, early vote. I know someone that I did register, and when they received their card from the Board of Elections, it was incorrect spelling of their first name. I say that to say to any and everybody, please early vote to avoid election day mishaps. Thank you so much. Everyone have the rest of a good evening.
Thank you so much for your professionalism, Ms. Stroud. Thank you. Sonia Jenkins?
Mayor, Board, good evening. Hi, how are you guys doing? This month is a very important month in my life. My mother has survived breast cancer, triple negative. It's been 6 years and counting. And it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to see survivors of breast cancer. So we have to keep everyone in our prayers that didn't survive and that are still fighting. I'm looking at this situation with the Park District, and I am a little disappointed because they sat and pretended like they didn't know. I know we want one day to have a park district, but we have to ask ourselves, is now the right time? We have to look at the climate of the world, not this community, but of the world. It's not looking good. Inflation is up, things are going on, and we have to do things in a right, just way. And we're not doing it. We don't have striping down our streets. We have no crossing guards for our children. We have a closed, shuttered pool that needs to be turned into a splash pad. The poorest communities in Chicago has a pool. We have all of these things going on, but the most important thing we have is disrespect to the taxpayers in this community. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. What transpired tonight was unacceptable. We are the laughing stock of the Southland area. And we have to, and they're not just looking at one person. They're looking at this entire board in its entirety. It needs to stop. Ms. Morgan is owed an apology because it made absolutely no sense for them to drag her out of here. It made absolutely no sense. And we need to prioritize our respect for each other. How are we going to get business here and we don't even respect each other on this board? And you're not paying attention to the taxpayers that elected you in all of these seats. We elected you to take care of us, not to harm us. That's what we elected you to do. And we hired people to take care of us and not to harm us and cause unnecessary lawsuits. It has to stop. We are a people. We need to stand together. This can be a mecca. It's well on its way, but if we continue like this, it's not going to get there. We have to stop. And when it comes down to the golf course, my question is the OSLAD grant going to make it a park district? Is that what we're going to do with the OSLAD grant? That's what I'm looking at, because we sneaky and we are very, very deceitful when it comes down to our residents. So we need to get things in order and prioritize that line item that $765,000 was taken off of in 2016 and put it back. All of the money that we were paying into the golf course at $78,000 a month, we can fund the Park and Recreation Department and bring someone in here that has park and recreational science degree to create all of these programs that we need. We cannot afford to handle all of these different positions and give people jobs and be friends. As a resident that has been here 14 years, I'm tired and sick and tired of generational corruption. And it's gonna stop. If that means that these new people that are moving into this community have to take these seats, so be it. Because I will be at the doors. And you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Good evening. Well, first I'd like to say, I would like to see everyone get out and vote. I would have liked to have gotten the newsletter that I heard that you put out, but I didn't get it, neither one. And I talked with a few of my neighbors, they didn't receive it either. I think that we're having some mail problems. You all did do a newsletter, right? Yeah, that's what I was told. Pardon me? They're back here?
Yeah, they are.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So pick up one before you
well,
leave.
I just want you to know. Right, I'm saying I didn't get it at my mailbox. Right, I didn't. And that's where it was sent. Am I correct? Okay. I don't know what happens, but I know I'm missing a lot of mail, and some of my neighbors, we need to deal with that. Send a petition to the, we need to send a petition to sign a petition or something and get this off the ground because this is not good. The Park District that's coming up for us to vote on, I really would encourage everyone to vote no until we get more information about that. And it did come up before. So I really don't know how that board would work. I just don't know. I have to vote no until I get a lot more information about how it's going to work and benefit the community. You know, I did get a newsletter regarding some of our outstanding funds that we haven't been, what do you call it when you don't meet the end of the year budget? We haven't been audited. That's it. We haven't been audited. We still have a few years out. Is that going to affect our ability to apply for grants? No, I wanted to know. You can speak. Yeah, I do know that. That's true. Because Mr. McGowan kind of ran us in the ground. I do know that.
It's not, I'm not here to point the finger, I'm just stating the fact.
Yeah, I know.
So we have made quite a bit of progress. If I'm not mistaken, when I took office, we were 2015 or 16 in audit.
All right.
So we've caught up on quite a bit. We might be 2 years behind, but we're working on it. And at that time, we do have to have fiscal responsibility in all areas. That way we can get the things, because whether people realize it or not, when we got the OSLAD grant for Regal Farm, that we still had penalties to pay and some of the money that was deducted from the state because of our previous things. So I think there was over $100,000 and some odd in MFT funds that was deducted from the total award of the package. And those are the things that people are really unaware of, because I do have a list of the debts. Oh, that's it. My time is up as well. But I'll finish this conversation after this, Ms. Boyd.
Okay. All right. I want to know, I just met Mr. Ruiz, and he's the village executive liaison. Who is that?
Who?
Mr. Ruiz, the gentleman back there.
Mr. Ruiz.
Oh, is it Ruiz?
Yes.
Okay,
He's the executive,
I'm sorry.
He's the executive person to the mayor and the board of trustees.
So how does he function?
He works on a part-time basis, and he functions and figures the schedule, the calendar, and everything for the mayor and the board of trustees.
Okay. All right.
All right, Ms.
I was thinking, your time was up, but not mine.
No, that was actually your time.
No, you answered my question.
Well, I answered, but your time.
You answered my question. Now, come on.
Give her 60 seconds, because that was.
I don't have much to say anyway, except for get out the vote. I really appreciated the lady that came in and laid out a plan for us to kind of get on our feet. I really appreciate that. And I really would like to see our walking paths clean because I do walk the path. And they are really a mess. I can't walk them all, especially the one over the bridge. They got trees and shrubbery over there. And by the way, one of the trees that was cut down in my front yard on the parkway, they came over and cut it down, but it grew back. And I don't know what happened, but they need to take the root out. Right, they need to take the stump out. No, I want you all to do it. I would appreciate that. It's on the parkway. Okay, it's on the parkway. Okay. All right. All right, that's about it. All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. All right, so is there a motion, guys? Moved by Thompson, second by Brooks. All in favor? Opposed by the same sign? None opposed? Thank you so much.